The front was the record label. That was a front. That was literally funding his real enterprise, which was trafficking and doing all this other stuff so that he could do what he needed to do.
These types of situations, when they come to light, people start wondering, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. I don't believe he was doing this and this. And we're talking about the music industry and the movie industry just because they're visible and popular. All these different industries have all this corruption. I don't know if they really get the gravity of what goes on. That somebody this public, this visible, and this flagrant with a lot of his activities, there's a lot of dirt that goes down.
This is Show versus Business, where pop culture meets pop money, with your host, the real Theo Harvey and Mr. Benja. So, Mr. Benja, what's been going on?
Oh man, so much has been going on, dog. I don't even know where to start. And we got a lot of it going on in this podcast. And I'm hesitating a little here because let me just get it out of the way. We will mention Diddy. All right. We're going to talk about the P. Diddy, the Puff Daddy, the Sean Combs, the whole affair of things going on. We're going to get into that a little bit, maybe come at it with a different angle. But if you love hearing about that, we got it. And we even got some 2C in there too. So if you don't know what 2C is and you've been following along with Diddy, we're going to bring that up too. In other news, we've got Batman. Batman Day is September 21st. Awesome. But no one's giving any love to Black Batman Week, so we got to talk about that too. Penguin is out, the new series that came up featuring Mr. Cobblepot, the Penguin. Rebel Ridge, we got a little talk about that. Got a little Lord of the Rings, got a little bit of merchandising getting crazy. You've been wondering what's going on with candles and popcorn buckets and Funko Pops and all this stuff. Tyler Perry, we got news on him. Lionsgate, John Wick, Instagram creating teen accounts. We're not going to get to all this probably. MrBeast has a new lawsuit. Maybe he's trying to be in there with the Diddy class. I don't know. Everybody wants a lawsuit now. And in general, we got to talk about some of these gatekeepers and the general internet influencing, creating economy, because we're out in these internet streets too. So we got to keep an eye on all this. Dio, that's a lot. But how was your week?
Oh, man. Thanks for asking, man. My week was phenomenal. I celebrated my 17th anniversary to my wonderful wife, Naja. Shout out
Whoop,
to
whoop.
her. Yeah, 17 years, man. We're almost legal.
Congratulations. Congratulations, man.
Think you were a part of that festivities when we first got together and had an official wedding. So
That was
you
nice
saw the
wedding.
birth of that. Yeah, you saw the birth of that. Yeah. So we went to a concert, man. Maxwell, man. Maxwell has been around since we were in college. And he's still out in these streets selling out arenas, not just outside stadiums, but actual arenas, man. That's
Yeah.
phenomenal, man. That's what, over 30 years in the game?
Yeah.
Kudos to him, man. And he still got the voice and everything. And he plays those songs, man, takes you right back to 94, 95. It's
Yeah.
just, wow, I'm back. And so I was playing that for my kids today, and they're like, who's this old man singing? I said, oh, man, you guys just don't know.
Yeah. It's funny. 50 Cent was talking about the old people getting out there doing hits and stuff. And he said, they asked him, say, hey, this new movie project got held up and they're not picking up the series for this and that. What are you going to do for the next 6 months? And he's, man, I might as well go on tour. So he'll just randomly go on tour and they're like, hey, you can't go on tour. He's like, man, you two been going on tour. They had a hit out since. And he just starts, and he's like, yeah, I'm the old guy stage now. I can just go anywhere and pull some people together and have a good time. So I'm like, I respect that.
He ain't wrong, man. What is he, 49 years old? Yeah, 50. You're right, man. It's like that nostalgia play is powerful, man. You know, you could just, if you're an old act, you had even one hit, maybe two hits, man. You can go anywhere, anytime, and just do the get together, get your groove back tour, or let's come together tour. It don't matter what it's called, and do your thing, man. And that's what these artists are doing, man. And then they introduced some of the younger artists as a new artist. Man, I can't remember his name right now, but he was there. Jasmine Sullivan, she was great. And I think it was called the Serenade Tour. And so, yeah, he came, I think, Tampa, Florida, where I'm at. That's where he started here in Tampa for whatever reason. And so now he's going all over. October London. Have you heard that new artist?
No, actually I haven't.
Oh, yeah, go look him up. He sounds just like Marvin Gaye. Yeah. It sounds just like Marvin Gaye. Snoop Dogg signed him, and phenomenal artist. So he's one of the up and coming youngsters right in the game. So he's hanging with the old heads, right? So he get put on.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it was phenomenal. But yeah, that was my fun time. But my this is the grind week, man. I'm in sales, man. We've been talking about marketing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, still about that. We're grinding on that, differentiating, becoming a category, know and trust, all that good stuff. But man, it's about the dollars, man. And so I'm out here setting up cold callers, man. We calling these doctors, getting them on the phone, say, hey, how you doing? Let's get this popping, man. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's just interesting, man, because it's funny. They've already shown interest through some of our marketing materials, but you're
Mhm.
just so busy. And so you just have to get their attention quickly so that you can get a call with them and then position your offer. And it's pretty tough, man, but you can do it. It's just and by doing it the last couple of weeks, I'm seeing an uptick in the number of proposals we're doing. And so we're starting to scale that team on my business so we can
Okay.
accelerate sales.
Who you listening to? Dan Henry, Cardone, your boy Byron, Myron
No,
Golden? Yeah.
man. No, man. Those guys are okay, man. I need the new stuff. I need the what's working now stuff, man. So
Mhm.
I found these guys on YouTube. I can't remember their names, but the name of the podcast is called shout out to them, 30 Minutes to President's Club. And they give you the latest and greatest tools on how to get through the noise if you're doing cold calling or cold email, just to disrupt the patterns that people listen to. And they
Mhm.
back it up with data. I don't know if you heard of a tool called Gong, but it really gets
Mhm.
into how do you it's basically recorded sales calls. And so basically they have data around, okay, this opening works best 20% of the time. Or if you leave a voice message and it's in the email, your open rates go up by 20%. So it's just like they have data backed by the methodology. And it's they literally dropped this book maybe a couple of months ago. Cardone, look, the fundamentals, principles, they never change. But I need the latest data, man. I was like, look, give me the stuff that works now. I got
Yeah.
time for the that worked in 1992. Yeah,
Interesting.
man. So those are the things that I want to make sure that the people understood about, man. So yeah, I'm trying to figure that
Huh.
out and understand what's the latest and greatest information on how to get people's attention quickly because they don't know who you are and then
Yeah.
try to set you up. Hold on one second. And then, yeah, man. So that's my goal and trying to figure all that out. Yeah, I apologize. My daughter's calling me as we're doing this podcast. So I just want to text
Hey,
her real quick.
hey, daughter calls, man. No, I was just looking at these guys and yeah, it's funny. Somebody finds an angle or a way to do things. Now you can just really get out there and start connecting. And
Mhm.
okay, now I'm looking into what they're doing. Yep, they've got AI involved also. So
Yeah. Yeah,
this is
two
pretty
young
cool.
guys. Yeah, two young guys. Both of them. One worked in tech sales, and one worked like old school insurance sales and stuff like that, doing
Mhm,
old school cold calling, and they get the metrics around what it takes to get people. Because I'm just trying to accelerate sales. So a lot of them have expressed interest, but they just so busy they forgot about it or whatever.
mhm.
So just once you have a conversation with them, then they slow down a little bit and you disrupt that pattern, and then they're open to listening to you. So anyway, so it's just something that just adds to repertoire to accelerate things. So that's what I've been kind of experiment with over the last 2 weeks, and they
Yeah.
did pretty well. So next week, we're bringing on some more team members to accelerate that.
You ever bum rush somebody, like, show up at their office or sit outside their house in the car?
Hey, I go to doctor's office, hey man, all the time, brother. This- what do you think I'm doing next week, man? I'm about to be up in there, man. Say, hey, we sent you this
Nice.
proposal. What's up? Oh, okay, okay, okay. It's a borderline. You want to be professionally persistent, right? So
Yes.
you don't want to, just be obnoxious. But look, man, people are busy. I get it. I'm busy. But if
Mhm,
that person is taking the time, they'll literally close a deal. I had to do 2 lunches and show up at the office like 4 times and it was local here in Tampa. So I wanted to experiment to see how long it
yeah.
took. So it does work. You just have to be and most people are just not that persistent. And then once you get through that, then they're like, okay, okay, either I don't want to do it or don't. I got to at least tell
Yeah.
this guy no, or we're gonna do it. It gets to a point where this guy ain't going away.
Yeah, I wasn't in sales at the time, I was in development, and I was working with I'll go ahead and say it, I don't have a problem with it. I was talking to Sony, and I was trying to get Sony's attention, and I'm like, "From everything I've heard of, I'm your boy. I'm the guy. What they messing around for?" From everything I've heard from people I've talked to, from the website description, from our pre-interview chats, I'm like, "Screw this. GDC is coming up, the Game Developers Conference. I'm gonna fly out there." I thought I I thought I was having a good little discussion, but it wasn't
Yeah.
popping like I wanted to. So I was like, "All right, let me just fly up there." I didn't tell them I was coming. I just flew up there. So I flew up there, game developers conference. I go in and start talking to Sony. The lady's, okay, yeah, we got your resume and all this. We talked to you. Huh? I see you talk to this guy over here and this guy over here. All right, thank you very much. I'm like, huh, all right. And she did the not push me out of the way, but did a little forced move and moved me out. I'm like, okay,
These are not the drawers you're looking for.
yeah, exactly. These are not the recruiters. You need. Yeah, I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
So Sony, if anybody knows, like at GDC and these events, Sony has a big booth. So what I did is I calmly walked out the side and said, "Thank you very much, thank you." Shook some people's hands on the way out. Immediately doubled back around the booth, all the way around the back side of it, and then I came underneath the. They had little ropes. I came underneath the ropes and was just, and they were like, "Hey, you can't come through here." I was like, "Hey, I just talked to that guy right there, and they said this and that and this and that. And by the way, I'm Benjamin Johnson." And they're like, "Oh yeah, we were talking to you." And I got to the people who I actually sent my resume to, and I was actually talking to over email, but I couldn't get to them because the gatekeeper tried to stop me at the literal gatekeeper tried to stop me at the front gate to the Sony booth.
Mhm.
So I'm up in there talking to these dudes, and I'm like, I got to drop the elbow on them. Yeah, I started dropping all types of knowledge. I pulled out pen and paper, started explaining how some processes could be done. I got so raw in that moment. They had to stop stuff and were like, hey, Mike, come over here. All right, Benjamin, tell Mike what you told me right now." I did it again. It just told him the process, and Mike was like, "Holy crap!" Mike's a made up name. "Holy crap, we got to call Dave over." Dave, and they called him over. So I did this presentation like 6 times in the Sony booth. It just had a crowd of people around while I was like dropping all this knowledge and doing all this stuff on pen and paper. How about I didn't know it at the time, but this whole thing ended up getting around the whole convention floor. Like people who knew me were like, "Hey, yeah, I saw you over at the Sony booth." So somebody said there was this guy just waving his hand and talking and doing all this stuff. That was you. It's like, yeah,
Love it.
in the mix.
In the mix, man. Raw dog and in the mix. It's a mix of both a little bit, right? I have a similar story that happened to me when I first got my internship at Cisco Systems. I had wanted to, I heard they're going to be at a conference. I went to the booth and the recruiter, the little gatekeeper, she said, "Oh yeah, we got your resume. Come back." And it's like, you looking at stack to the left, it's like a pile
Yeah,
of resumes. My resume is probably one of 1,000. I said, "Oh no,
yeah.
this
They
will
don't know.
not last."
Yeah.
So I came back and I started chopping my mouth, and then end up meeting the hiring manager that eventually hired me as an intern to go out there to California for the summer to be with Cisco. And so that just changed my life. And I was able to, leverage that once I got into Cisco, leverage that to find out all the other things that I could do, and got into one of the big top programs that they had there for incoming students. But yeah, man. People don't realize, man, being that and I think this generation doesn't get it. I talk to my nieces too. It's just, "Oh yeah, put my resume and then call me back." I'm like, "Did you reach out again?" "No, because they know what I'm about." No, they don't.
Nope.
You gotta
No,
be
no.
persistent. You gotta step out the norm. You gotta reach out to them multiple times. You gotta find out who they know. If you really want something, you really have to go get it. And I think
Dog.
that their percentage is so little now, man. It's so sad.
Yeah, dog. I was going through like credits list of old games, finding these people, and you know how usually a company will have a certain email format, like
Yep.
first name dot last name or
Yeah.
first initial dot
At
last name
yeah,
at
at
whatever
Sony
dot
or
com.
Cisco.com. Yep.
Man, I was like, "Hey, I saw you did work on this game. I really like that. Thanks for all you're doing." And if they said, "Oh, thank you very much." Yeah, listen, I sent in a resume. I don't know if it's got through the system. Man, I was all up in that cheese.
Man, you know what? And guess what, man? They didn't even have we didn't have LinkedIn back then. We didn't have all these cold email permutations that can just send automatic emails out to people. Imagine we had that tools like they have now to reach out to people.
Yeah,
You can find little any there's no excuse to reach. You can reach anybody you want now. It's
yeah,
just a matter of your desire to do.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And we were talking about a desire to do stuff, desire to work. We got a lot to get to, so I'm just going to jump into this. But I've been in edit mode this week. We were talking about what we were doing this week. Book is done. I'm just editing right now. I found 2 paragraphs that basically said the same thing, and I'm like, "Oh, Lord." I was just in such the right mode. I wrote this, and then 4 chapters later, I wrote the same thing. Let me go back and just that kind of stuff. Last little bit of the book going out. and I was happy and in my work mode. And I got to thinking, doing this really hard work and all that, I'm trying to pull that energy back that I used to have when I first got in the video game industry. I'm
Mhm.
trying to get that same kind of crazy vibe I had back then and do it now.
Mm.
And you got me thinking about it. You sent me this link about Inside Out 2, like working like hell for Inside Out 2. And I have good and bad memories about that. What happened on Inside Out 2?
Yeah, man. From my understanding, a lot of the folks that were in the industry, they were basically shut out. They were kicked out because they felt like they weren't doing enough on that animation. And so Disney from and I sent this to you through the week to give you a
Yeah.
sense of kind of what was happening there. Pixar Inside Out 2, right? So it was a bunch of layoffs recently, right? So basically all these animators and people that worked on it just got laid off. But the challenge was they put tons of hours on Inside Out 2, and then the mandate came down after the, Lightyear. You remember Lightyear? There was that kiss, that
Mhm.
female kiss, and that was an uproar. Lightyear, the prequel to Toy Story, it
Yeah.
just didn't do well in the movies, and so Disney freaked out and said, "Oh, because there was a kiss, right, between 2 women, so that's why this movie didn't do well." So, they had to go back and reanimate some of Inside Out 2, which, let's be honest, is successful now, but they had to do things like, "Let's figure out how we can make Riley," which is the central character of that movie, less gay. They tried to even change things like the lighting and the tone of certain scenes, so there couldn't be any sense of romantic chemistry between Riley and another girl. So it was just like the animators spent up all night trying to do that just so they could take out. And guess what, Mr. Benj? If you haven't seen the movie, there's still gay overtones. She's a
Yeah.
hockey player. She's a girl hockey player that looks like a tomboy. It just is what it is. So
Yeah. Is she on a
it's
boys
kind of
team?
like no, it's a girl, all girls team.
Okay, okay, just curious.
What the best player of the team, she's like admiring her, but it's just borderline
Yeah, but
admiring her.
makes you wonder how it was before the cuts.
Good point. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure it was a little bit more over, but it was still there though. But
Sure,
they
okay.
did all this work to take it out, and I'm watching it in the back of my mind with my kids. I was like, "Oh, there, here come the kiss," but they didn't do it. They didn't do
Yes.
it. So anyway, the animators, it's just sad, man. What happened to them? They all got laid off, man. Recently, they worked all these hours just to re-edit something, just under pretense that it could offend parents because there could be some gay overtones in it. And so it's just so many layers of what's wrong with that, right? Just the
Yeah,
long hours, the whitewashing representation in a movie that's going to be seen by millions of people, and then just discarding these animators for no
yeah.
reason. It does seem par for the course when it comes to Disney and other big companies.
Yeah, in this kind of situation, I prefer, and maybe this is just because of my era, I prefer the out loud yelling and just being a little more straightforward with what the business has to do rather than trying to appear nice and then the results are bad still. I mean, because it's there's been a couple viral videos where people were like, "How did I get laid off? Why didn't they hire me?" and this and that. I used to have, like what I was saying, sending out resumes. I used to get calls from like lead programmers. Yeah, your programming is shoddy, buddy. Come back in 2 months when your program is good and send me another demo. I'm like, cool, bet, punk. Hang up the phone.
Bitter much?
And it was just like, no, that's the thing. I wasn't bitter. I could just be like, screw you too. I
Yeah.
think your code in this game was whack. Look at that. You did the water physics and you just went about your business.
And I don't mean to interrupt you on
Go,
your
go.
path here. You know what? I think the challenge is sometimes we're so inside our own head, we just think it's just like me and this other person. Man, we're in
Yeah.
a planet of a billion people. It's a numbers game, man. And the
Mhm.
more you just take yourself out of that and realize you're insignificant. Let's be honest. When you ride a plane, you see all those cars down there. That's what you look like, right? To
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
else. It's like you're nothing. So if you
Right. Yeah.
call 20 people and they all talk tell you a bum son of a gun, that's only 20 people out of like hundreds of thousands of people you could call. So
Exactly.
it's once you put your framework, because I think sometimes we just in our head so much and you just don't realize that and your feelings get hurt. But once you realize the number, I literally, I'm going through this cold calling just to understand the process when I hire
Yeah.
people. I know what they're going to go through. I'm like, look, this is what it's going to be. Don't come with no BS. I already experienced it, buddy.
Yeah.
But what happens is they'll hang up on you or they'll be like, I already talked to you. and you take your lumps and you say, okay, oh what? Look, you gonna live. What, they hung up on you? What's that? Or no, I don't need what you selling me. Okay,
Yeah,
go to the next provider. I got a list of 1,000 people. So what's the issue? So I
yeah.
think that's the when you mention that is you have to go through those lumps and kind of deal with that. And
Mhm.
I'm glad what you just said. You said the whole thing about, hey, fine, I'll hang up, call the next person. You said my work was shoddy. I'll just keep moving.
Yeah. It's funny. I even wonder sometimes if I contacted a person and they didn't like me, and I contact another person at that company, if they were like right next to each other. I was even told one time that some guy was like, "I didn't wanna hire you," and I'm thinking, "I did send you a resume too, didn't I?" Uh,
So let's
fun time.
encapsulate this. So basically, we talked about inside two and the living working conditions, but prior to that, you were talking about getting in that mode. Is that mode you're talking about just don't give an F as you're kind
Yeah,
of
see,
getting
exactly.
into this writing and doing all this stuff?
Yeah, I don't wanna be in my head. I just wanna be like, "I could do this," and go do it. You don't like it? Cool. Somebody else
Yeah.
like it, and just keep going about my business. And this has been a thought that's been ringing in my head even, like, after the Twitter axing, where Elon Musk literally did a 80-20 cut and was like, "Let's keep the top 20% and everybody else, goodbye." Rather harsh, obviously, but I was seeing some of the Twitter videos of people like, "Hey, I work at Twitter. I come in and get a latte and do this and that, sit
Yeah.
around." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, you're out of there." It's a cold world.
Yeah.
It's a cold
Oh,
world.
man. In the 2021s, 20 with all these what the Gen Zers and millennials are getting these tech
Yeah.
jobs. Remember, I'm a
Mhm.
program manager at a high tech job. First, I get my latte, then I go sit at the pool, then I make a few calls. I like, yeah, it was only a matter of time before that clock was going. And now they're
Yeah.
all getting replaced by AI agents, right? So
Yeah.
it's like I saw that coming fast, man. I was like, oh, this is not going to end well for these guys.
And you can't even cry at home now. You gotta cry in the office.
Exactly, good point. That I was interviewing a person not too long ago. They were saying that. He said, are you remote?" I said, "Yes." We said, "Oh, man, it's hard to find those now." Yeah, so it's going back to where it was pre-pandemic. So people, yeah, beware.
Yeah, speaking of people beware and getting caught up in the game, Diddy, we gotta jump to it, man. It's just part of the business, right? He is a literal showman and a businessman and got caught up out there. And everybody wants to know. I may even do this for keyword SEO, but 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Yeah. Did you see the pictures?
Pictures of
There were a
the
couple
baby
pic
oil?
Yeah, there were a couple pictures of, like, just stacks of baby oil or oil.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, man. Yeah, look, that's the interesting angle to it, but then it's, "Oh, how funny story," but it covers up the dark angle behind it, like why they needed so much and what he was doing with it. And these marathon sessions of freak offs, what they call them, is just
Yeah,
crazy, man. And we're not going to get into what they did to stay up so long. It's the mix of concoction of drugs and coercion and blackmail and violence and threats of violence. We all seen the Cassie video. It's just this dude was just like wilding out, and then his people, man, they were just basically enabling, and they probably were fearful for their jobs too. And so it was just a crazy situation, man. We'll talk more about the angle, but did you get a chance to even read the actual indictment, the actual paperwork, or what they said in it?
I went through a couple summaries and people talking about it, but no, I don't have any. Didn't read it myself in complete.
Yes, I didn't read all of it either, but people were talking about it, so I said, "Let me just go." I like to go to the source. You hear all the
Mhm.
influencers and all that, but let me go to the source. Always good to go to the source. So I put it in the link here, man, if you get a chance to pull that up. But one of the things that just struck me initially was, and someone made this point too, they said every paragraph pretty much gave all his aliases. It said Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love. So
Yeah.
it's like you go through that like every other paragraph, they list every alias he's ever had. And it's just hilarious all the way to the end, right? It's only a 14-page document, so it's not a lot, but a lot of legalese, of course, in there. But yeah, man, they basically said the defendant abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. And I think you put here in our show notes, he said basically he was charged with racketeering. and it's a set of illegal activities aimed at commercial profit that may be disguised as legitimate business deals. And so the way someone explained to me was like basically the front was the record label, right? His business deal is that
Mhm.
the deals. Those are that was a front that was literally funding his real enterprise, which was sex trafficking and doing all this other S trafficking and doing all this other stuff, right? So that he could do what he needed to do. And that was some of the things that I think that really it comes with a heavy penalty. And that's why when he was charged, they set bail at pretty high and he couldn't post it at $50 million. They would not accept it because they said you are a threat for either flight risk because he's so rich he could probably go out of the country, or coercion and getting these witnesses to recant their testimonies. Yeah, man. He's still in jail even as we speak. He was arrested on what, Tuesday, and here it is. We'll record this on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's still in jail. So
Yeah, it's a sad situation, and I don't want to downplay it at all because these types of situations, when they come to light, you've got people start wondering, "Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. I don't believe he was doing this and this." This is how movies like Eyes Wide Shut get made. This is how, and we're talking about the music industry and the movie industry just because they're visible and popular, but I was looking up a bunch of corruption in industries over the past week, and it's who knows what's going on in the concrete industry or the remain the Romanian
meat
roof
packing,
yeah, the
they're meat
Romanian
packing.
roof tiles. Somebody's shipping out Romanian roof tiles, and we got all kinds of whatever going on with that. Shout out to Romania. I didn't mean to, implicate you in anything. Just a random example. All these different industries have all this corruption and weird stuff going on. As I said before, it's cold outside, and people, I don't know if they really get the gravity of what goes on. That somebody this public, this visible, and this flagrant with a lot of his activities could seem like a surprise to so many people. There's a lot of dirt that goes down. And
This is just of a piece, right? There's always been rumors about the Diddy parties and all that, and now we know what was really going on. And so even before that was rumors about Weinstein, right? What he was about,
Mhm,
and he went down, right? Bill Cosby, right? You know what he was doing, and so R. Kelly, right? There was always rumors. There was that video.
mhm.
Literally, you and I saw that video of R. Kelly years ago in college when we wait to watch a wrestling match, right? In Tallahassee, and somebody had the video playing. And that was back in college. It literally took about what 25 years before he finally got hemmed up on that and other charges for R. Kelly. This is like when there's smoke, there's probably fire. And to your point, it's any of these rumors that you hear about, folks. It's unfortunate, but it does seem like there is some truth to all of this, man. And now that we have language for it, there wasn't language for this where people could say, "Oh, they're consenting adults; they could do what they want." But we all know there's power dynamics, and if that guy is giving you money,
Mhm.
he's helping you provide for your family, you have a good living, there is an imbalance there so that you are coerced, right? And he said, I'm going to ruin your career. And so basically you put 20 years into the music industry and you not only will he fire you and you won't no longer have any money, but you can't get hired anywhere else. That's the thing. And I think he may go down hard because of the power dynamics angle of it all. And now that
Well,
we understand that's powerful.
yeah, that very true. But this is a dangerous game that gets played because after you get to a certain point, you start to become it becomes incredibly difficult to you have to actually actively try to stay clean. Otherwise, you'll get caught up in stuff. Like Denzel Washington said, "Hey, you go there, shake some hands, and leave before anything in the party starts to happen. Leave before
He's
anything
the
bad
devil
shows
shows
up.
up. He
Yeah, leave
said,
before
"Leave
the
before
devil
the
shows."
yeah, leave before the 30 minutes before the devil shows up." So true.
Yeah, okay. Running back on Diddy, he really worked hard, muscles his way to get Bad Boy created the way it was. He did a lot of muscle power moves in the music industry. He started the rock the vote thing or rap the vote thing, and when he got into that, he said, "Hey, there's a lot of craziness going on in politics. I didn't know it was like that." And he never really talked about politics again, backed out. And I was like, "Oh, okay, this dude really trying to move places." And I've been watching Diddy, his kind of power moves for a while. The way he is pulling MTV to do things, the way he is pushing just the industry to do things, getting in, making the band. Let's have this show. I'm going to be the controller of this. Said screw MTV. I got Revolt TV, and let's get into liquor. Let's get into marketing, and let's get into. And he was really pushing stuff around. And then 50 Cent had a just a talk on EYL about where he started to mess up, and he's, "Hey, you're dealing with, like, people who have a lot of money, who run these industries, who control a lot of stuff, and you just coming in there throwing elbows and acting crazy. You gotta chill sometime and realize who you're messing with." And his 50 said that his problem started when he started messing with Diddy's problem started when he started messing with the liquor companies and calling people racist and saying he controls X, Y, and Z. And I think that makes sense. A lot of what 50 said, it really makes sense to me, where he started messing with these liquor companies and they moved him out of the whole Ciroc thing. It's like, all right, you got nothing to do with Ciroc now. Get out of here. We don't like you anymore. This really isn't your liquor. You were just a face, and we were dropping $60 million in your direction all these years, and now we don't want you anymore. Suddenly, after that, it's all these problems start showing up with, hey, there's rumors about parties, there's rumors about this and this, and hey, what's going on with Cassie? And it starts to build up. And according to 50 Cent, basically, Diddy messed up when he got those liquor people mad.
Yeah, I think you sent me some other stuff. Some other folks were saying something along those similar lines too. And I would say, man, that's not. You always think been playing a lot of chess lately, and the king is the king. And he's got all these pieces moving before you, and sometimes you have the a piece that's pinned, right? So a player can probably attack your king, but you have a knight in front of him, so the knight can't leave. But then that other piece can't get the king, and a lot. So when you think about it, it's very similar. It was like Puffy is there, but someone's protecting him, right, from the government from coming after him.
Yeah.
As soon as he does
Yeah.
something that they don't like or whatever, that knight is leaving and you're exposed. You're wide open now, right?
Yeah.
The white pieces can get you and you're no longer stuck there. So I think that's a lot. And it's just not with just I don't even think it's a black or white thing. I just think it's a power thing, man. Who has the power? Who's running things? So this is not a conspiracy podcast, guys. We're not gonna get into they and them and all that. But I will say that it does seem oddly timed, to your point, that all of a sudden this is coming out. And so what other shoe will drop, right? Titty is Diddy going to drop a dime on other folks that
Yeah.
that were that implicated, or is he just going to be quiet and see what happens?
Yeah, exactly. And so many questions. I'm not here to besmirch Cassie, but I really don't think much of this is about her. I think she was
Mm.
not used, but she ended up as part of the whole machine to take him down. I'll put it
Yeah, I
that way.
agree because it's like, why now? You're right. It was like, why last November? All of a sudden, this is going on for a decade or more, and she was already gone and whatever. But there would had to be an impetus. They were like, okay, now's the time for you to really. Maybe she talked about it, someone just said chill, and then when no one said chill anymore, she released it. And so you're right, man. A lot of this is time, man. It's probably Epstein, the way he went down. And it was remember the first time he got arrested. If you know anything about the Epstein story, he
Mhm.
got arrested the first time years ago,
Yeah.
and nothing came of that. Then all of a sudden, the second time, now he is. So it's just like stuff like that, man. It's just I think those are the kind of things that make you go, "What are the power plays around here?"
Yeah.
But my heart, I always take it back to the victims. My heart goes out to people who came in there with some positive intentions, right? To here's Diddy, he's been in the industry, he's taken a shine to me, either be in a relationship with him or to help my career. And just basically, we always look at Shine. What happened to Shine in that gun
Yeah.
charge, right? Years ago, and how he had to leave the country. He was in jail for 10 years, doing well for himself, right? Now I think he's a politician in Belize. But yeah, man, it's just like how many folks by these powerful moguls got, and let's be honest, those moguls themselves are probably protecting bigger moguls behind them. So it's a crazy thing.
Like I said, somebody's running the cement industry. Dude, when I worked for Cargill, I had an internship with Cargill, private company. I ended up running into some people and I was like, who is this? This guy is responsible for transporting all the salt to blah, 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 blah. And he started just naming off all these companies. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess they all do need salt. That's a lot of money. It is, yeah, it's cold outside. That's all I got to say. I got any more on that. It's just business
Yeah,
is
yeah,
dirty.
man. Oh man. Oh, yeah. Let's talk a little bit lighter, man. You know what we need a Cape Crusader, man, to save us, man.
Wait,
Oh, we don't.
before we jump off, we can't leave Gotham City alone. There's still a lot of dirt in the city. I wanted to throw MrBeast under the bus real quick
Oh, okay.
and mess up all my chances of being big on YouTube. But nah, MrBeast, KSI, and Logan Paul have released Lunchables, a Lunchables competitor called Lunchly. And in the midst of his some allegations and things going on, I'm wondering if this is gonna take off. Is this gonna be the beginning of an influencer kind of thing that we're seeing here? It's been a discussion. Can these influencers and can these new age pop culture icons really take on all these big industries like this? And it echoed some things that were happening with Diddy. Hey, who are these new guys on the block? Did you have any thoughts on his new ventures and it not going very well or going well?
Yeah, anything Logan podcast. Look, let's talk about Prime Drink. I just did a Google search real quick and look, Energy Drink number one is a terrible product. I literally had my kids taste it and they said it was terrible. And after being inundated with influencer, not in marketing messaging. So I don't trust them to create any new product. They're marketers, and marketers notoriously don't have good products, unfortunately. And so now they're coming up with this other brand that's a new kind of competitor to Lunchables, which aren't the greatest anyway. Let's be honest, they're not the most healthy, but I just don't trust that them to come up with something that's going to be that much more different. But unpack that with all the controversy right now that MrBeast is under with the staff member that pretty much groomed children, and there's
Mhm.
recent allegations of some abuse on his latest Amazon TV show. It's just like a lot of things are coming at him right now. When you're the king, things are going to come at you. But it's now you're trying to release a new product after trying to do these licensing deals with these food companies and trying to do this all branded. And we went into go check out our episode, guys, on what we talked about the Mr. Beast empire. So I get it. He's trying to expand his empire, right? Content creation is tough work, right? But if you can create a
Yeah.
product or license a product, guess what, man? You're living pretty. That's money is always in your pocket. But yeah, man, the trust factor is going down. People have to know and trust you. And now that the trust is starting to remove from MrBeast, is that something that's going to hurt his business long term? Probably.
Yeah. It's funny when I was back at 3DO, Trip Hawkins, the CEO, used to bring out the legal guy and the finance guy as the bad cops. And I think if you're gonna, I don't know if we can do like a Steve Jobs or we'll see how long Elon Musk works out with what he's been doing, but it's been successful. Let's see. But I wonder nowadays if like the template for a CEO is, hey guys, I'm friendly. Here's the finance guy and the legal guy to really rip into you. I'm gonna walk away now. But I wonder how it plays out in the future. It's gonna be interesting. So
I
I'm
would
sorry.
I think that, to be honest with you, man, I think that's the way it has to be, man, because as someone who has employees and talks to them every day, you always have to be careful how you say certain things. And it's always good if you always have, like, guys, I want to do this, the HR guy or the legal guy, or it's just
Yeah.
there's some plausibility. Or if you're sending emails and you're reaching out to folks, you want to make sure the emails are not coming directly from you, maybe coming from your company.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
they call you like, I had no idea. And so
Yeah.
it's because it was a plausible deniability is so powerful because then you can maneuver and negotiate and do different things. I hate to say it like that, but that's just the nature of the business.
No. Well, definitely. We found a guy. There was a guy I knew when in business once, and we were talking about him. He wasn't there. We were talking about him. I was like, "Hey, man, you ever notice? I don't think I've ever heard that guy say a definitive yes or no." And somebody like almost dropped their cup, and they were like, "Holy crap! You noticed that too?" Like, like we ask him if he wants to go out to eat, and he'll say like,
Absolutely. That's
he'll
my favorite word. Absolutely.
"Hey, this guy never said anything definitive." He's like,
Well,
"Oh,
wait,
you're
wait, wait.
going that way?"
But is absolutely definitive? Is it a yes or a no?
That's absolutely yes.
No, it's not.
Absolutely.
It's
Let's
just
go.
absolutely. It's just absolutely.
Okay, this guy was that's another way of getting out of it, but this guy was like, "You know what? It'd be good to go out and, go out for a drive." So, if we got there and the restaurant was booty, he'd be like, "That restaurant sucked. I don't know who picked that. You said you wanted to go." "No, I said I wanted to go for the drive." And I'm like, "That's how this guy was." That's what I'm saying.
Slippery.
Yep. I'm over here. I'm over here.
Can't catch me, son. Woo.
Oh, man. Alright, we got stories to get to. Let's go. I'm sorry. Let's get to them. Batman. Happy Batman Day. my friend.
Oh yeah, happy Batman Day, man. What? No Black Batman weekday?
Apparently, it did not catch on in the Midwest states. We gotta do more work to get it nationally recognized.
Yes,
Black
yes.
Batman
Everyone,
Week.
shout out Black Batman Week. We're gonna have it. It's coming back, guys. Batwing, Black Batwoman. We need more Black Bat. Just nothing else. We need more alliteration in our lives. So yes, more for that. But yeah, man, this is whoever recorded. I don't know why September 21st. I was trying to look that up. I don't think that was the first issue of Batman, was it? I don't know why they came up with that date. It just seems pretty arbitrary. But yeah, anyway, so Batman week day is today. So the celebration of all things Batman got he's the first superhero to get his Hollywood Walk of Fame, which is pretty cool. We got, and there was so many different Batman versions, right? We got the Adam West TV show. We got Michael Keaton when he was Batman. We got the Batman from what's his name? Nolan Oppenheimer guy. What's his name? The director. Why am I drawing blank right now?
Chris Nolan?
But yeah, Chris Nolan. Thank you. Christopher Nolan, the Batman Begin, Batman Returns series. Batman Returns is arguably probably the best superhero movie ever. And then we got the most recent, The Batman. And that's been, it seems like all of them are pretty decent. They've all got pretty good reviews. And I think it's because Batman is just so universal. Basically, he's just a regular dude and his superpower is having money. And so
Yeah.
imagine if we just talked about these billionaires using their money and influence for foul things. But what if you just were that deranged? They use your power and influence to be a positive force for the world. And I think that's a hopeful sign, right? That we
Yeah.
always put Batman up so high that there could be at least one that's so messed up that he's gonna put on the bat suit one day and go fight crime instead of doing freak offs. That's what we want from our billionaires, man. Oh, James, you gotta put that in there. We want billionaires that fight crime and not do freak offs, man. We gotta have that. That's the new slogan for New Year.
Good and damn well Bruce Wayne be having freak off. Got in with it. All the crazy stuff he sees.
Batman's so scarred emotionally, man. I don't even think the S is even that important to him anymore, man. He'll go on these dates, man. He'll just be like, I gotta stop Riddler. It's just this thing,
Hey,
man.
man, he's got a control complex. I'm just saying.
Yeah, good point. I'd be curious, man. If we did have real life superheroes, would we have also super villains? I'm wondering. Because they said it's always the yin and the yang, right? That one
Yeah,
can exist without the other. So we really had somebody who was singly focused on stopping crime. Because you remember the way they set up Batman too was genius. Because remember when they first did it, they said no one would believe this character walking around doing whatever. So he didn't really fight supervillains. He fought like mob bosses, right? Remember
yeah,
the Falcones and the Karma was the other Salvatores, right? He
yeah,
fought these mob bosses in Gotham initially, and then eventually evolved into the Joker and other folks. So I'm
yeah.
curious. I wonder if that would be similar here. It was like the criminals be like, man, we got this guy out here, man, he gone crazy. We need to go crazy too. What you
Yeah,
think?
yeah. Pretty no, I agree with that. I think there's definitely a yin and yang, a balancing of the force. You know, we thought you were the chosen one kind of aspect going around.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it'd be cool to see that, man. But it's weird too because like when Batman was created, that's another man. I'm getting very philosophical. I don't know why, but when Batman was
Mhm.
created, cities was such a big city was such a unique thing, and it still is. Don't get me wrong. You live in a big city, it is of a thing. But because we have this internet thing, it doesn't seem like we're part of the city anymore. Our culture is not really. I'm from New York. I like Batman, or I'm the culture of a Republican. It's not like
Yeah.
your tribe is no longer. I'm a New Yorker. There's some pieces of that, but it doesn't seem as strong as it used to be. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Could there be like a
Yeah, I
city
just
superhero?
yeah, I just don't think they push it. I think they're trying to hit on different angles rather than a more social based thing. I think they're going for a more vibe, feel, demographic that can exist anywhere. But part of the reason I really got into Spider-Man and some of the stuff is because, hey, no, he's telling a New York story. It's a New Yorker telling from his point of view. I didn't care about I don't know anybody out in African fields and meadows, but nevertheless, I'm watching Black Panther. Cool. I rock with that guy and where he's from. I actually want to see, hey, he comes from this place. This person comes from this place. And when I saw like Gotham City, Metropolis, I thought these were great ideas to build from, but you're right. You're totally right. It doesn't seem like they're pushing that anymore. I don't like it.
Yeah. It's because we don't live like that anymore. You and I have been talking for several years and say we're next door neighbors, but we live across the country. And so it just
Well,
and
that would
we
give you
and we
more.
have people that follow us. Go ahead.
Yeah, but that would give you, in terms of just telling stories, I think they would give you more personality. Hey, this and this happened today. And it's, oh my God, what? Hippopotamus ran across the street? Where do you live? Or,
Yeah. I don't know, man. So it's interesting how these stories are evolving and wonder how superheroes will evolve to that. But yeah, so Batman, man, just an interesting character, man. Spider-Man's my number one. Batman's my number two. It's like Batman is like Spider-Man. Batman is who we didn't have superpowers, who we would
Mhm.
be. Spider-Man, who if we did have superpowers, who we actually would be, right? Because he's always messing up.
Yeah,
Batman's the ideal. Spider-Man is who we actually would be, right? And so I think that's always the dichotomy I look at the two superheroes. But yeah, man,
yeah.
Batman is in these streets doing the good thing. So there's a new TV show that just came out, Mr. Benja. Have you heard of it? The Penguin?
Yes, I've heard of the penguin, and I like this meme that you sent me. Okay, for Mad Men, it's like, all right, Tony Soprano, but he's a penguin. I don't even know what the penguin show is about, but I've seen the still images and you throwing up that Mad Men meme of the '60s advertising with Tony Soprano, but a penguin. That had me laughing. Is that what it's like? Tell me about this show.
Man, you know what? I came in just low expectations. Obviously, I'm hearing first of all, let's start there. When the Batman came out, the movie, you saw the movie, of course. And so what did you think of Colin Farrell, who's this good-looking guy, putting all this makeup on, a fat suit to play this, and he's not even from America. He's from I think he's from not England, but he's from somewhere. And he's got this rough kind of New York accent. What do you think? What did you think of the character when you first saw it in the Batman?
I actually think that made sense. I was like, okay, cool. That makes sense. I don't know why he has such a penguinish weirdness to him. I think he can still be weird. I think you can play with that, but the fish hands angle and all that was just goofy. And not that it didn't make sense, but I like what Colin Farrell's doing.
Yeah, he's you know, definitely a handsome guy and everything, and he's supposed to be the next big actor,
Mhm.
but he's just really just like one of those character actors, right? Let's be honest, probably Robert Downey Jr. could have been Colin Farrell, right? It's so funny. You look at the sliding doors of it all with all these different actors, like who could have got a
Yeah.
role here, who because Robert Downey Jr., let's be honest, is a character actor. He just happened to find the best character in Iron Man, but he could play different roles and different
Yeah.
characters and stuff like that. He did for many years before he got Iron Man. So it's the sliding doors of everybody's career, man. You just one little thing break their way or not break their way is different. But anyway, Colin Farrell, he's always if you watch some of his performances, he's always played kind of quirky characters, even without the makeup. So if him play the Penguin, it does make sense. And he was pretty much the comedy relief in the Batman, right? I got you. I told you I got remember that scene when he thought he blew up Batman. I got you. I got you. And Batman
Yeah.
came out and just he ran him over.
Yeah.
And so that was funny. And so now they did this whole TV show about him, man. And I came in skeptical about it all and just let me just check it out. I really enjoyed it, man. It
Hey.
scratched that mob itch, but also scratched that he's not the penguin like we know. He's like a mid-level guy and he's doing things to get to that top level. And when I always like those stories, the come up, man, the come
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
story. And that's what it is. And he's also playing a mix of obviously a bad guy, but he's got vulnerability, right? He's got disability. He's trying to move in the world. So he's got some sympathies, right? And he's
Mm.
vulnerable. But at the same time, if you watch The Sopranos, that's exactly how Tony Soprano was, right? He had a mix of vulnerability and viciousness. And I think that's what's in there, that character. So it's the come up, the mob story, and the mix of the vulnerability with the viciousness. It just all drew me in at one time. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
this is way better than it should be. And I was digging it, man. I digged it.
You just gave me an idea. I
Uh-oh.
think it's time for Valiant Comics to come back and have the Valiant Comics cinematic universe. It's time.
Uh-oh. Oh, Exo the Robot Hunter, was that? Is that
No,
Turok
no.
the dinosaur?
Magnus Robot Fighter, Turok Dinosaur Hunter, Exo Man of War, Shadow Man,
I
Solar
got it
Man
all wrong.
Atom.
I
Oh
got it
my
all
god.
wrong. I got it all wrong, huh? Dang. I said
Love me some Valiant, boy. Bring it back.
obviously, was Bloodshot a part of that too?
Yes.
But they did
Shout
a
out
movie.
shout out to Vin Diesel for trying to start
Yeah.
the engine. I respect what Vin Diesel did there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you gonna watch the Penguin based on my recommendation?
Yes, I will. Not week to week though.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll catch up at the end and see what you think. Like I said, one episode, but I think you might dig it, man. I think you might if you like mob movies, if you like the come up story,
Yeah.
if you like good perform and there's a good performance by the actress that plays Sophia, the daughter of Carmine that died in the Batman and her story. And I think
Okay.
this is not a spoiler, but it's out there. I think that the thing is people want to probably may have more Easter eggs in in this TV show. Like if they're gonna be in Arkham, can we get some shout outs to actual psychologists we know that work there, right? Or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that. But man, but I forgot about that series. What is it? Gotham. Remember that TV show that ran for
yeah,
like 7 years? They did. So there's been so many different iterations, and then they even did a show about Pennyworth, about his prequel, about how he
yeah.
became Pennyworth. So there's so many things you can do with the Batman, and so now they're doing a basically a high profile crime drama about the Penguin. So it's just I'm digging it, man. I'm digging it.
All right. I won't ask any questions. I was about to, but I'll get into it and see what happens.
I love it.
Happy Batman week. Happy Black Batman week. I don't believe I just bat washed Black Batman week.
Don't do it, man. Don't do it.
Gotham doesn't see
Wait,
color.
I love it. I love it.
What you want to jump to next, man? We got a couple minutes.
Oh man, look. There's another TV movie I wanted to give a shout out to, Rebel Ridge. I don't know if you had a chance to check that out. Getting 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's a
Really?
Netflix movie. Yeah, which I abhor all Netflix movies. They're just terrible, but it was pretty good, man. Me and my wife watched it. She didn't like it because it was not as drama filled, but it's basically about a black guy that just get wronged by the police. But it doesn't go the way you think it does in every scene. And it's not as overtly racial than you think it is, but it's
All right.
still racial. So it's really good, man. And the actor, I think this is gonna make him a star, man. He came in, I think John Boyega was supposed to play the role, but this actor, he came in and killed it, man. He
From?
played Malcolm X recently. He was in Old. Yeah, man. Aaron Pierre, that's the actor's name. And he just killed it, man, as like a kind of like a Rambo type Marine guy. But the way he diffuses the issues that he's dealing with is almost like it's very thoughtful, right? He's not just like trying to shoot people. He's look, I could hurt you, but I'm not. I'm going to use the gun in certain ways. I think he only did one bad thing where he broke someone's arm, but most of the time he was pretty chill, man. It was that contained anger, man. And yeah, so it's been getting a lot of good reviews. And so we'll see if you get a chance to go check it out. I just want to give it a shout out on our podcast, Rebel Bridge, and it's getting a lot of praise, deservedly so. I could see more of these, man. I want to see Rebel Ridge too, man. It was that good.
Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't jumped on a. I haven't set my hopes high for a Netflix movie ever since
Yeah.
Will Smith's Bright.
Hey, man, I like the ambition. I liked it, man.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
right.
I
What
don't
they
like the
tried to
movie. I
do,
just
what they yeah,
yes,
the ambition,
you gotta
but
respect that. You gotta respect that.
I did
They were
respect.
trying to create a grounded fantasy series in LA, man. Come on. That was awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Mordor in LA, man. Come on. Mordor in LA, man. They need to bring that back, man. Let's mix that too. Let's do that. I like that,
That should
man.
have been that should have been a series actually.
Yeah.
I could see that being like just, "Hey, let's go hang
Oh,
out with the
yeah.
elves in this arc."
I hope they got a book like that, hard crime drama mixed with fantasy. That'd be awesome, man. I know there's some books out there like that. We
Yeah.
gotta look that up because that'd be good, man. I want some of that stuff, man. Like detective fantasy. Let's do it. So anyway, Mr. Benjo, anything going on next week for you, man?
Hey, man, I'm editing and formatting, that's all I'm doing. I'm getting back into my old school DGAF era of development.
Yeah, I love it.
Feels great.
Love it, man. Yeah, man. Same here, man. I'm grinding on the sales side. I got till like November, second week November. So I'm just like going all in and accelerating, putting gas to the put the with the pedal to the metal so we can get the gas going. So yeah, man, this is a great time. Everyone, I hope you having a great time. I hope you enjoyed our podcast. Look, we do this for you guys, right? So please subscribe and comment wherever you listen to our show, whether it's on X, Threads, YouTube, and Instagram. Look, go ahead and check us out on Spotify, iTunes. You know, go even check out our website because that's where there's some great information and get the latest and greatest. Mr. Benja, have a good one.
Peace.